Hey guys, my name is Batimio, and today's challenge, a bunch of you wanted me to use the CZ-3A1 for the Engineer class with the suppressor, a 4x optic, and the real kicker was that I had to use it in single fire mode. This challenge was ridiculous. I've done a lot of terrible weapon setups and I've done a lot of crazy things for this video series, but this one in particular was so atrocious that honestly, I don't even know why this is an option in the game right now. I don't even know why the CZ-3A1 has a single fire shot available to it, because there are so many things that are holding this back that this is honestly probably one of the worst setups that you can come across in Battlefield 4. It is that bad. And so the first thing that I had to overcome, and probably the most obvious, is that the CZ-3A1 is a close encounter weapon. It does 25 damage a shot up close and then drops off to 12.1 at long range. But easily the most appealing and amazing feature of the CZ-3A1 is that it has 1,000 rounds per minute. You get up close and personal to your target, you have the RPM and the damage to take them out almost instantaneously. This gun is incredible up close. But when you have it in single fire mode, all of those advantages go out the window entirely. I don't care how good you think you are at first-person shooters or at video games, there is no way that you're going to be able to take advantage of that 1,000 rounds per minute. The other thing I had to work around, and probably the most amusing aspect of this challenge, is that the CZ-3A1 only has a bolt velocity of 370 meters per second. To give you a comparison to that, the assault rifles and the light machine guns normally have a bolt velocity of around 550 to 600 meters per second. So basically how long it takes the bullet to reach its destination. The real kicker on this though is that when you slap on the suppressor to the CZ-3A1, it drops down to 190 meters per second. You are basically throwing rocks at your enemy at that point, and there are a lot of times, hopefully you guys have noticed this throughout today's video, is that when I'm trying to take out a target at medium distance, or even when they're up close and personal, I really have to lead my target. I have to aim above their head significantly, even if they're like 40 meters out, 30 meters out, I have to aim way above their head. If they're moving, I have to predict where they're going because it takes such a long time for the bullet to reach its destination. And then on top of that, if all of that wasn't enough, the CZ-3A1 is just inherently bad at taking people out at a distance. Its damage drops off significantly the further out the target goes from you, and so if they're a good 40-50 meters away from you, it's going to take a good 8 to 9 bullets to drop them. And because you're having to deal with a very slow travel speed, so you're having to aim above their head, you're trying to predict where they're going, and it requires a good 8 to 9 bullets to kill them, there were so many moments when I was trying to drop someone, I would get around 6 to 7 hit markers, freaking out why they hadn't died at that point. They turn around and then blast my face full of bullets. It was infuriating when that happened. And so the way I had to approach this was I had to be very, very sneaky. I had to take advantage of the suppressor because it kept me off the minimap, and I had to try to flank around and usually get into a situation where I'm a good maybe 20 meters out. I don't want to get right up close to my target because I am using a high optic. Like 4x scope isn't crazy. It's not like a high-powered bolt action rifle scope or anything like that. But if I get up close and personal, I am going to be at a slight disadvantage because of the scope itself. And then on top of that, because I am in single fire mode, if I come across anyone who is using a AEK, a FAMAS, or really anyone with a high RPM, I'm going to have a hard time if I'm not making all of my shots count and I'm not accurate with all of my shots. And so what I tried to do was work around the map in such a way where I was trying to be very stealthy. I was trying to take advantage of the suppressor because that was very important. I needed to get a good flank on my target to usually take them out, but I wanted to play the medium game. At a medium distance or around maybe 20 meters away from me, I didn't have to deal with a crazy bullet drop. I didn't have to deal with the damage drop off that happens with the CZ-3A1. I could use the higher optic scope effectively, and it just felt like that was the right situation to tackle this challenge. It was not easy, and you guys will see that just trying to kill even one player with this setup was awful, and I really had to outplay my enemies. If I knew that someone was just around the corner, I usually had to run away. I had to be like, okay, they probably know I'm here at this point. I'm gonna duck for cover. I'm gonna try to put myself in a situation where that when they round the corner, they don't see me. They flounder for a couple of seconds, and then I'm able to maybe get a couple of quick headshots off. That was another thing that I really had to do. I went for headshots as often as I possibly can. Because of the damage drop off and because everything that I've just mentioned, if I'm able to get a couple of headshots in there, it made it way easier and way faster for me to drop my enemies. But with all that being said, this was actually an absolute blast. I had a lot of fun with this setup, and while there were a couple of moments when I would get very frustrated and I would leave a match very quickly, which is what you would probably classify as rage quitting, this was very refreshing. Like, I did not go into this assuming that I was going to be able to go on an 11 kill streak or kill 20 people in a row. Like, I knew that was just not going to happen. And because I had that mindset going into this and I just wanted to have fun, I was able to have an absolute blast. And one thing that I noticed that was always amusing is that there are some players in this game that I don't know if they're just completely oblivious, I don't know if they're just straight awful, but usually, and this was mainly for camping recons, if I was able to get a nice flank on them and slowly try to whittle them down at a distance, it would still require a good 5 to 6 bullets to drop them, but they would just sit there for that 6 seconds while I tried to slowly take them out, throwing rocks and pebbles in their general direction, and they would just sit there and take the damage. And while I did not mind the free kill, it's like, what is going on in their head? Are they trying to figure out where the bullets are coming from? Are they trying to finish off a target really quickly just because they're about to kill someone? Why are they just sitting here and taking my pebbles to the face? Like, why are they doing that? And so there were a lot of times when that happened, and when it occurred, it was always hilarious and I had a good laugh. But for the most part, this was very, very challenging. And because it was so challenging, because I had to basically play this like a bolt action rifle, aiming way above their head, trying to predict where they were going, but them only being, you know, like 40 to 50 meters out, it was a lot of fun. It was not easy, but I had a lot of fun. And so if you are looking for some crazy setup that honestly shouldn't even be in the game, like honestly, I have no idea why the CZ-3A1 has single fire mode or why the suppressor brings it down to 190 meters per second. Like, it's just incredibly ridiculous. If you want to try out a terrible setup, I highly recommend you give this a go. But that is about it for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you have a setup that you would like me to try next, be it a weapon with a terrible combination of attachments, be it a gadget that you would like me to try by itself to slay my enemies, let me know down below in the comment section. But until tomorrow, have a good one and take it easy.